G'day! In today's video I'm replacing the display on a Samsung Galaxy A22 4G. The model number SM-A225F. And this particular one is a service pack that you may be able to source. So to begin with, I've had it on the heat pad here at 75 degrees Celsius at the bottom here. And first thing we want to do is eject the SIM tray. Once we get that out of the way, like so. Now with this model, I'm not sure if it's a glass back or if it's a body that comes apart. So I'm not too sure with this exact one. I'm going to go with it being a glass back to begin with, or plastic back. So I'm going to try and pry that with some isopropyl and a pry tool. Now don't try this straight up, first of all you guys, just in case it's fake. That, bingo, that's got me in there. And the isopropyl does make this considerably easier to pry into. Have a look here. And keep going. So definitely need a thin pry tool. Heat didn't really seem to make too much of a difference with it just then. There we go. I am seeing some screws in there. There we go. Very roughed up antenna cable. Not quite what we want, but it's still mostly attached, so that should be okay. And now I'm just going to try and lift. Now if you can fluke it and keep the majority of that adhesive on your back, on the back cover, that should make reinstalling it a bit easier down the line. There we go. Did lift up that antenna cable there. Mostly I'm reasonably happy with that. Go. Might have to redo just this section here. I'll break that off and I'll put some fresh adhesive on there. And once we're in there, I'll disconnect the fingerprint scanner. Can't disconnect the battery just yet. From here we'll proceed and take out all the Phillips head screws. Now, history proves me right. These screws should, or they should all be of the same length. In typical Samsung fashion, they don't want to come out of the body, which they should come out of the body. So I'll use some tweezers in a minute to take them out. Now do be aware that there is a 4G and a 5G model of this phone. So here we've got 225F, which corresponds to the 4G. I'm not too sure what the exact model number is of the 5G model, but from my current A series experiences, they do usually require a separate screen. As I found with the what model was it? The A22 and 4G versus the A22 5G is physically a different size display, which does make it a bit of a pain. Now I'll take out these screws in the bottom. Now the heat and the isopropyl is going to very much help me take out the battery. You've got to be cautious not to pry too much into the battery or bend the battery too much, as it can explode. So definitely be cautious of that. I'm going to need like alcohol. Alcohol or isopropyl alcohol would be preferred, but that does usually eat the glue very well. So usually you could use that to soften the adhesive. Keep taking these ones out. Go. Next up with this main body and trim. I should hopefully be able to peel off to the side and lift it up to get a bit of a gap, like so. And then hopefully use a pry tool just to snake around. There we go, now it's willing to leave. There we go. Next up from here, disconnect the battery. Disconnect the main flex connector. And disconnect it from down here. So I'm just lifting that up with my nail and just coming off from there. I'll focus on the top half now. I'll disconnect the antenna here by just lifting up slightly underneath it. And from here, I'm not seeing any screws into the body of the phone, so in theory I should just be able to lift this up. Should. Not always can. No. No, right there in the front facing rear facing cameras. Do that screw. Lift up again. There we go. We will need to move the vibrating mode over. Typically, with a bit of heat, should be able to hopefully pry under it. There is a slight gap on this side here to push under and lift up. If you're lucky, the sticker comes with it. It's got enough stick. Drops into the hole over here. Looking here, we don't really need to move anything else. Do need to take the film off this side. Drop that into here. And do that screw up. So let's swap the main board. We've already got the loudspeaker over here. Next up is further down, where I'll probably focus on the charging board. So one screw here. I'll leave the antenna cable attached over here. And I should just be able to lift it up, like so. Move that over to the left-hand side to your replacement board. Push the antenna cable into here. Don't forget to reattach it. And screw in there. To attach it, typically I line it up over the top. And just push down. May need to use something like a flathead screwdriver to help with that. There we go. The way I tell that that is attached, I should be able to spin it and it should not fall off. Let's have a poke it here. That's staying there. Next up is probably the next challenging, or second most challenging thing here, is removing the battery. Now this is going to be extremely straightforward for me with this, but for you guys at home it's going to be very difficult to get out. So you do need some form of isopropyl or alcohol that you can dribble down here to be able to get it out. Otherwise, there is a fair chance that you can damage the battery getting it out. So now that I've put some alcohol there, I should just be able to pry a little bit. It should start lifting for me. See how that's coming out relatively straight for me? If you're bending it, you do have a chance of damaging it. So the isopropyl's just made that all tacky. From here I can move that into the new phone. And we're pretty much nearly at the halfway point of this repair. So what we need to do, if you can put some new fresh adhesive, this should be okay for me, so I don't reckon there's going to be too much drama reusing this. That's enough adhesive to hold it. Push it down. What I do is usually disconnect the battery, then disconnect it, just so I know that battery's sitting in the right position. And from here, we need to connect up the flex connector, which looks like so. Should be able to just line it up over the top, wiggle it a little bit, and push down. And it should snap into position. Same with the sections down below. Line it up over the top, wiggle it, push down, should snap into position. Same there, Next up we will need to reconnect the battery, and we'll put the body of the phone over the top once more. Should just be able to click it around. Like so. Put the fingerprint scanner / power button on. From here you can press and hold and test that phone out if you like. I'm going to be pretty confident that screen's going to be perfectly fine. So I'm going to carry on. So from here I'll be putting all those Phillips head screws back in once more. And then after that I'll be putting the back cover back on. You may need to put new tape on there. I'm going to put one single strip of tape on there. If you manage to get it off without damaging the adhesive, then I'd say you're pretty right to put it back on. Make sure you heat it up prior to. Granted, I wouldn't want to test the water resistance of it, so if you're being fairly pedantic, you could potentially get a new gasket to put on there, or rubber adhesive to go on there, or you could use some board glue or frame adhesive, something similar to like this should suffice. And we've done all the top screws, onto the bottom screws. I'm missing a few screws. I would say they're just pushed up against my blue heat mat, or heat pad. I didn't say heat mat. Didn't quite come out right. There we go, there's my hidden screws. I'll end up with one extra, but I already see where he needs to go. There, and up the top near the camera, where I need to go to next. See the screws from there. Next up is that little bit of adhesive. So I'll just use some good old red tape. Should do the trick just fine. There. And just to be a bit safe for the customer, just put some of that there too. There we go. Now from there, put the back on once more. Line it up. Push it down. And SIM tray back in there. Give it a test. Should be sweet. Hope this helps. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.